Emma Sinclair hadn't cried in 6 years. Not at her father's funeral, not during her divorce, not even the night her doctor said the word burnout like it was a verdict. Until the night she finally did, alone in a locked bathroom with the shower running so no one could hear. Nobody at Emma's office had ever seen her without a smile. Not once. Not on the Monday her project got canceled after 8 months of work. Not on the Friday her best friend forgot her birthday. Not even the week her cat died, and she still brought donuts to the team meeting. Because someone has to keep morale up. They called her the sunshine of the office. Her manager wrote it in her performance review. Emma's positivity is contagious. Her friends called her unshakable. Her mother called her my strong girl, the way you'd say it about someone who never needed help, because she never asked for it. But here's what none of them knew. Emma had a system, a private, exact, almost surgical system for managing what she called the weather inside her. And it had one rule: nobody gets to see the storm. Every morning, she stood in front of the mirror for exactly 90 seconds before leaving her apartment. She practiced her smile the way an actor rehearses a line, not because it wasn't real, but because some mornings it took work to make it look real. She called this putting on Emma, the version people needed, the version that made other people feel safe. Psychologists have a name for what Emma was doing. They call it smiling depression, a kind of depression that hides inside competence, inside high-functioning routines, inside people who show up, perform, and even laugh, while carrying something heavy enough to break most people in half. It doesn't look like the depression we're taught to recognize. No crying in public, no missed deadlines, no visible collapse, just a woman who is somehow always fine. Always managing, always smiling, which is exactly what makes it so dangerous. Because the people most in danger of drowning are often the ones who look like they're swimming just fine. Emma was 34, a marketing director at a mid-sized firm in Portland, and by every visible measure, she was doing well. She had the promotion. She had the apartment with the good light. She had the label, capable, reliable, the one people went to when they needed something handled. What she also had was a ritual nobody knew about. Every night at 11:40, she sat on the edge of her bed, set a timer for exactly 6 minutes, and allowed herself to feel whatever she'd been holding all day. 6 minutes. Then the timer went off, she wiped her face, and it was over. In her mind, 6 minutes was manageable. 6 minutes wouldn't turn into an hour. An hour might turn into something she couldn't come back from. Then one Tuesday in October, the 6 minutes stopped being enough. It happened during a work call. Her colleague David, normally quiet, always eating lunch alone at his desk, didn't show up for the 9 a.m. meeting. By 9:15, someone mentioned he hadn't answered his phone since the night before. By 11 a.m., HR called an emergency meeting. David had taken his own life the night before. Everyone in the office was in shock. People cried openly at their desks. Someone passed around tissues like they were passing out water. And Emma sat completely still, hands folded, face composed, and said the exact right things. Does his family need anything? Should we send flowers? Let me know if I can help organize something. She was, once again, the strong one. But that night, sitting on the edge of her bed, she didn't set a timer. She thought about the last time she'd spoken to David, 3 weeks earlier in the break room. He'd made a joke about the coffee machine being broken, just like everything else this week, and laughed. And she'd laughed too. And neither of them had asked the other what that actually meant. Sitting there, she realized she had spent years perfecting the exact same joke, different words, same laugh, same distance behind the eyes, and nobody had ever asked her either, because she never gave them a reason to. That was the night the crying didn't stop after 6 minutes. It didn't stop after 60. She cried until her body ran out of whatever crying runs on, and somewhere in the middle of it, she understood something she had never let herself think in plain words before. I don't actually want to die, but I don't know how to keep living like this either. The next morning, Emma did something she hadn't done in 6 years. She called in sick for real, not as a cover story for a deadline she needed extra time on. She sat in her apartment in the same clothes from the day before, and, for the first time, let herself look directly at the last decade of her life without softening it. She remembered being 19, watching her mother, a single parent working 2 jobs, come home every night and say, "I'm fine, sweetheart, just tired," right up until the week she collapsed from exhaustion in the kitchen. Emma remembered deciding quietly, at 19 years old, that she would never let anyone see her struggle the way she'd seen her mother struggle. She thought about calling her mother to tell her this. She picked up the phone 3 times and put it down 3 times. On the fourth try, she didn't call to explain smiling depression or performance reviews or any of it. She just said, "Mom, I don't think I'm okay." There was a silence on the line, a long one, before her mother said something Emma didn't expect at all. "I know," her mother said quietly. "I've known for a long time. I was just waiting for you to be ready to say it, because I spent 30 years not saying it, and I didn't want that for you." Emma sat there, phone pressed to her ear, stunned. Her mother, the woman she'd spent her whole life trying to protect by never needing anything, had seen through the performance the entire time. She just hadn't known how to reach through it without breaking the one thing Emma seemed to need most, to believe she was handling it. Emma didn't fix everything in that phone call. That's not how it works. And if this story ended with one conversation solving 6 years of hiding, it wouldn't be honest. She started seeing a therapist, not because she'd hit some dramatic rock bottom, but because she realized rock bottom wasn't a single moment. 2 weeks later, in a team meeting, a project she'd spent 4 months on got cut in front of everyone, reassigned to someone else with barely an explanation. The old Emma would have smiled, said, "Totally understand, no worries," and cried about it alone at 11:40 that night for exactly 6 minutes. Instead, in front of 8 coworkers, her voice cracked. Just slightly, just for a second. She said, "Honestly, that's really disappointing. I put a lot into this." Then she stopped talking, because her throat had closed up, and she let the silence sit there instead of filling it with a joke. Nobody gasped. Nobody treated her differently. One coworker quietly said, "Yeah, that's a lot to lose. I'm sorry." And that was it. The world didn't end. Nobody said she was too much, or that she wasn't the strong one anymore, or any of the things she'd spent 6 years afraid they'd say. Emma still smiles a lot. That part of her was never fake. She genuinely likes people, likes her work, likes mornings when the light comes through her kitchen window a certain way. The difference now isn't that she stopped smiling. It's that the smile isn't the only thing anyone gets to see anymore. She still has hard nights. She still sometimes catches herself starting to say, "I'm fine" on reflex, before catching the word in her throat and choosing something truer instead. But she no longer keeps a timer on her grief. She no longer needs the shower running to cry safely. Once, a coworker who barely knew her said something that stayed with Emma for a long time. "You seem a lot more real lately." It's nice. Emma didn't correct her. She didn't say, "I was never fake, I was just scared." She just said thank you, and meant it, smile and all. If you've ever been the strong one, the one who holds it together for everyone else, the one nobody worries about because you never give them a reason to, this isn't a story about Emma. It's a story about the 6 minutes you've been giving yourself, and whether it's time to stop setting the timer.